Oh no. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, good. I got scared. She gave me the wrong thing for a second there. Yes, that's what I wanted. Oh God, I got my ass kicked at work today. Is it working right now? Is it lagging or is it coming in clear? If you feel so inclined to let me know, please do. I'm so grateful. Because I can't tell if it's working or not. Can someone let me know if it's coming in clear or not? Oh God. Soup is so good. Good girl, Heather. You plugged it in before you left for work. Matt Damon and Joe Rogan. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck on Joe Rogan.
The yarn stash. Some box, shelf, or even closet that's absolutely filled to the brim with yarn. You're always gonna have some yarn left over from a project. And from time to time, you'll buy a few skeins of yarn that you don't end up using for whatever reason. Furthermore, having a hobby such as knitting or crochet requires you to constantly buy yarn to maintain that hobby. But these circumstances simply don't warrant the sheer amount of yarn that some of these collections that I've seen online are accumulating. I remember first starting crochet, people in my life and in videos online were saying, if you don't have a yarn stash yet, just wait. And I remember thinking that I was the exception. I always prided myself on being anti-consumerist and frugal, yet a few months down the line, I found myself with a yarn stash of my very own, jammed into a corner of my house because I didn't know where else to put it. How did I let that happen? Of all people, like I thought I was built different. And furthermore, there's this whole concept of stash busters, the closet clean out of the fiber arts community, basically just trying to make projects for the sole purpose of trying to reduce this yarn stash. Now, I think it's totally okay and inevitable to have a collection of supplies for the hobby that you love to do. However, when we're collecting more than we can make good use of, when we look at our stash and instead of feeling happy and excited to crochet something, you feel stressed and overwhelmed and claustrophobic, that's when it becomes a problem. And that latter situation appears to be the case for most of us. Why is this such a pervasive, monstrous issue amongst fiber artists? Today, I want to share a list of my theories, and I'm going to end with what I think is the most controversial one, the one that makes me angry. Let's get into it. The first theory is consumerism. This is simple. Consumerism in hobbies, especially creative hobbies, has been a large topic of online discourse recently, and I think fiber arts definitely falls under this. It seems like a common mindset that having a hobby is a good excuse to overconsume. I'm an artist, it's my passion, I need to have an abundance of art supplies to fuel my passion, which I deserve to have. Now that's one facet of the problem, but nowadays it seems that consumerism becomes the hobby itself. The hobby of coloring books, for instance, is no longer about the act of coloring, but it's about having the nicest watercolor markers. Journaling is no longer about getting your thoughts out, but it's about having pretty stationery. We've seen this in other niches such as fitness, where it's about having the newest Lululemon set and meal prepping with the most Pinterest-esque Tupperware set. Reading is just about owning the prettiest editions of ACOTAR. At times it seems that yarn collection is the hobby itself, rather than the craft that the yarn facilitates. And dare I say, these large yarn collections filled with Lion brand and hobby yarn in every size and color, it's starting to resemble the collector's homes with dozens and dozens of blind boxes, if not a hoarder's episode. In this day and age, everything is commercial. Everything can be bought and sold. Social media, the advertisements you pass by on your day-to-day, they're all prompting you to buy something. And let's face it, retail therapy is fun, and shopping for a slow hobby, such as knitting or crochet, creates a lot less guilt than shopping for clothing, for instance. And this makes the issue especially interesting when it comes to fiber arts. There seems to be this juxtaposition between crafting, making things yourself, versus yarn having a production industry of its own. It's almost like it cancels each other out. It's disguised. Could it be that we are just redirecting our desire to consume onto yarn shopping? Now, to be honest, I'm just happy that we're buying things to make ourselves at all, especially when the alternative is Shein and plastic collectible figurines. I do think it's better. Yarn is also a lot more timeless than like a Labubu, for instance, so there's a lot less risk in terms of wastefulness. But in terms of our mental health, our habits, are we really solving the problem? It's like saying, I replaced my TikTok time with TV time, like I would still have a screen addiction. And with all the hyper-consumerism right now, there also comes a wave of anti-consumerism. De-influencers, the zero waste movement. Basically nowadays we also ridicule consumerism. Like now we make fun of that Labubu collecting, matcha drinking, Dubai chocolate genre of person. movements is shameful. So what if these movements are just prompting us to move towards a niche where we can still overindulge, but in a way that's more acceptable? Associating ourselves with sustainability and slowness without addressing the core of the issue. My next theory is scarcity mindset, and I think this becomes especially prevalent after COVID. This can manifest when there's a desire to be frugal financially or to live more sustainably. I think it's worse now than ever because we're living in an alleged economic recession, and so many individuals are experiencing career and financial fear that I won't encounter this yarn again. Or
Hello. Is it working? Is it coming in clear, or is it lagging?
Several skins, several sizes, several different colors. Ironically, this will affect me personally when I encounter cheap yarns. Like when I see large bundles on clearance, I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna get a deal like this again, so I need to buy a bunch.
But
There's this financial illusion. One could call it girl math, but I don't know how I feel about that. Where basically it's like, I buy it now. If I use it in the future, it's free. So by spending the money now, you're doing your future self a favor. This is one of my biggest problems personally, and actually in my apartment tour video, I say this. Back then, I just needed that security of knowing that if I want to make a project, there's yarn there for me. I don't have to go out of the house. I don't have to buy more. But still, that doesn't stop us from also buying more yarn in the future. Additionally, this leads to oftentimes the sunk cost fallacy. And I mentioned this in my previous video. The sunk cost fallacy describes this reluctance to get rid of items that
my internet is disconnected and I can't afford to reconnect it right now.
Beneficial option. Rather, that liberating feeling that something is free because you already bought it in the past, you just feel pressured to keep that yarn.
So I only have cell service and I live out in the boonies. So bad cell service.
That money's also thrown away. So not only are we still accumulating more, we are hesitant to get rid of what we've already accumulated. Like, it's totally normal to change your mind on something after buying it. But even if that's the case, you're still stuck with the yarn because you need to get your money's worth first. And if you don't like that yarn anymore, that may never happen. So much better to just get new yarn and the cycle repeats. So a little bit of lore about me. You guys know I sell crochet patterns. Did you know that I also used to sell clothing? Back in high school, I didn't know how to crochet, but I wanted some sort of creative outlet and sort of a side hustle. I didn't have a lot of money, and it was actually really easy with Printful, and they're actually sponsoring this video. So let me show you how I did it. So I'm here on my old account, and I wanted to sell hoodies, so I just chose from their catalog.
Probably more Capricorn than I initially thought.
Then I could customize it. Back then I was obsessed with like trying.
This is really good.
So
I had clam chowder for dinner, and now this is Snickers pudding cake.
Then I save it, and then once you have your products, you can hook your Printful up.
It's a piece of chocolate cake with a layer of pudding, a layer of whipped cream,
then if somebody ordered from me, my dumb ass didn't have
and then Snickers things on top, and some chocolate sauce or whatever.
The shipping, the handling, none of it, because Printful did it for me, and I didn't have to spend like a bunch of money on a screen printing setup or pre-order a bunch of hoodies, not knowing what to sell. I could just sit back and do the fun stuff. Like
dinner's over.
Marketing and design. Back then, I marketed on Instagram. If I were to do it again now, I think I would market on TikTok and do influencer collaborations. Nowadays, I prefer selling digital items, but I think if I could do it as a broke high schooler, so could you. If you want to take a look at Printful, you can check out the link in my description. No pressure. Now, back to my theories on why yarn stashes are so big. Peer pressure. Have you ever?
Let me turn my light on and let's get to work.
They were all like buying a bunch of things. Like maybe even you were on a secret mission to be spending less, but then in the moment you felt a little bit embarrassed about it. I had this problem a lot back in high school with food. When my friends were hungry and we would sit at a restaurant, I didn't want to be that one person who was like, no, I'm not hungry, I'm not going to order anything, like you guys eat, I'm just going to sit and stare at you. I've been on the other side of that, and to be honest, at times I felt like a lack of participation was killing the vibe a little bit, which is obviously just my own insecurities being the problem. Still, I just hate to be that person that isn't getting involved. Even if nothing inside the store really appealed to me, I would get something that I just liked. I think this tends to happen when you're in rare circumstances. For instance, a fiber arts festival, or maybe you're abroad on vacation, and it just feels like if you don't buy something, you're missing out on part of the experience, and you're gonna regret it later. And so I feel like that pressure to buy something just to say that you did and you participated can get the better of us. So my next theory is kind of a forgiving one, and it's that we don't really know how to tidy the yarn stash. Maria Kondo says in her book that we never really learn how to tidy. Like growing up, you learn how to cook, do laundry, clean your body, but the notion of keeping your space clean is something that's very rarely formally learned. We learn to crochet, but we don't learn how to manage our crochet supplies. Furthermore, tidying is a chore, not something to be easy or enjoyed. And yarn is difficult, it's fickle, it's malleable. How do you store it? Do you wind it into cakes and stack it? Do you put it in a box and seal it? You know, storage isn't universal. Some people prefer to fold their clothes, other people prefer to hang it. When it's already this difficult, how are we supposed to know what works for us? Rather than interrogating these questions and experimenting, it's easier to avoid it. And so we keep adding things to the stack, jamming things tighter. Another issue with improper storage is that it kind of leads to multiple reservoirs of yarn around the house. This means we never really get to see the magnitude of our stash. This way it's easy to feel like your collection isn't even that big. And by the time you realize the problem, you've collected way too much. As easy as it sounds to just keep your space organized, it's not, especially when you're a creative person. And that leads me to my next theory. I believe that hoarding tendencies can stem from creativity. I remember reading studies in the past that say creative people tend to have messier handwriting, for instance, or a more cluttered space. Our space reflects our mental state, right? And creative people's minds are always moving, always in motion, thinking of new ideas. I think the fact that creative brains are like this is a beautiful poetic thing, but sometimes it also leads to struggles. Art is so emotional and sentimental, so it's hard to part with things associated with it. I often find myself caught in this mindset of, I'm creative, so I'm gonna find a use for this thing someday. I mentioned this briefly in my previous video, where basically as an artist, it's very typical to fall in love with the creative potential in things. Seeing an old t-shirt and being like, oh, that can be upcycled. Or in this context, seeing a yarn skein and being like, I can think of a project to make out of that. As artists,
Super good, dude. He's so good.
to preserve and find solutions for things.
He's
so as not to
always
which often
doing better and better and better. As time goes on, he just gets... He's evolving into quite an amazing little person. Oh, I got up to get water. I need something to drink. Be right back.
That doesn't particularly appeal to you, but for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's color, it's texture, you still want it. So you tell yourself, I'm creative, I'll find a project with it, and that validates that purchase. This one always hits me when I'm in thrift stores. I'm always worried that if I don't see the potential in a yarn skein that I see at a thrift store, nobody will. It was already rejected once. If I don't accept it here, it's gonna end up in a landfill.
I think the same
Before I know
thing.
it, my home became the landfill. Furthermore,
My home becomes the landfill. Dude,
Dude,
guys, seriously, Primal Queen, I'm so grateful, dude. I would be... Dude, one time I took it since they sent it to me again, and I noticed a difference in the way that I feel.
I also think that the potential we see in items doesn't actually lie in the item itself, but it's a reflection of ourselves, our ability to make something with that item. And unfortunately, I think a lot of things hold us back, whether it's procrastination or insecurity, which leads me to my next theory on why we hoard yarn stashes.
I almost went like this.
When you were a kid, did you ever have a pack of crayons that you just didn't want to break into because if you used them they would be ruined? Crayons is such a visceral example because they literally get shorter. As long as the yarn ball is untouched, it's new, it's fresh, it's nicely wound, it's clean, it's perfect. As soon as you make something with it, it's never the same again. The edges fray, the plies twist, sometimes it snaps, it rolls around, it gets dirty. There's also this one thing that peeves me personally, which is that you can never fully use a skein because the tail at the start and the end, you can't use that to make up the actual length of the project. It has to be woven into the project, otherwise the project unravels. So it irks me sometimes that actually the more yarn you use, the more yarn you waste, is the more tails you have to weave in. And a fear of use is especially true when that yarn is rare or sentimental. Better not use it so as not to ruin it, so just hoard it. And before a yarn is used, it's everything. It has so much potential. Is it gonna be a blanket, a hat, a plushie? It can be so many things. But once you make a project out of it, all of that potential is gone, and now it's just that one project. How do you know whether or not it's the wrong project for that yarn? what if it would have been better as something else? I think that this fear of destroying yarn by losing it stems from self-doubt. Insecurities about being maybe not a good enough crocheter or not knowing if the project will succeed or not. And so perhaps accumulating lots and lots of yarn is a safety blanket. Perhaps there's this hope that at some point you'll have so much yarn that it's going to be okay to break into a skein or two, because if you mess up, it doesn't actually make a significant impact on your total collection of yarn.
Do you need to go outside? Seriously?
And this one leads back to
Alright, I'm coming. Hold on, I'm coming.
So I'm watching videos of creators on TikTok trying to manage their yarn stash, and it seems that there's a sort of pride exuded by these creators, showing how out of control their yarn stash has become. It seems to me that the yarn has become a sort of status symbol, badge of honor. I sense this kind of notion that's communicating that you're not a real crafter until you have a burdensome stash of yarn, and then you can finally like relate to the jokes of how burdensome it is.
Oh,
The more
cool.
yarn you
Did I
have,
really do that?
the better crafter you are, and the more stressed it makes
Love
you,
that.
the more of an artist you are. I think there's kind of this romanticization of the suffering that an artist goes through. We've heard countless stories of artists working on a piece for years and years, pouring their heart and soul into it, driving themselves into insanity. You can tell me if I'm reaching, but I feel like we're stunting the fact that we're doing something similar to ourselves. Like, I feel like we're kind of saying, look at me and my stash, look how tormented I am for my craft. I'm so passionate about it. Look at all the space that I sacrificed for my yarn. Like, that's how tied down I am to this passion. I'm so passionate. And it manifests in a kind of unspoken competition, I feel like. I think there's a whole movement of people in the art world who don't see the value in a piece of art unless the artist suffered for it, unless they spiraled into madness while making it. I also want to say I don't support the flip side of this, which would be not caring about the creative process at all. Like, I think the story behind an artwork is important. I just don't think it needs to be tragic and masochistic in order to have value. We all know what a yarn snob is. Dare I say that flexing how large and stress-inducing our yarn stashes are is kind of an alternative form of yarn snobbery that disguises itself as the opposite. Could flaunting these huge collections of yarn just be art snobbery, but like without the blatant elitism? Like, what if it's even like a kind of compensation? What if we're all just closeted yarn snobs, but we don't actually have the money to be yarn snobs? So instead of spending like $50 on a really expensive hand-spun skein of wool, we buy 50 skeins of $1 acrylic yarn to make up for it? Yeah, I feel like that one's controversial, but let me know what you guys think. So I've discussed a bunch of theories, but like, what do you actually do about the yarn stash? How do we solve this problem? Dare I say I don't really believe in stash busting projects. I just ended up with projects that I wasn't really fond of in the end. More so, I continue to feel reluctant about using my yarn. Even if I didn't like that yarn anymore, I didn't want to just use it just to use it. It just made me feel bad, like I was giving up. This is why I personally prefer decluttering rather than busting. And this involves training myself to see the yarn for what it is, not what it can be. It's just a ball of yarn. It's not the hoodie I want. It's not a hat. It's not this like beautiful plushie that's gonna make my little nephew happy.
Oh wow, my internet connection is really bad, huh? I can't even get YouTube to play a video, let alone upload one. Right here is where the little break was. We're so close. We're so close. Like, I can just, like, it barely hurts. It hurts pretty bad, but barely. When it crosses the line of not hurting to hurting, though, it's sudden and painful as fuck, though, so. Alright, so we're going to try and give her a little break. Why aren't you working, dude? Oh, it hurts to make a fist, though. Calm down, nobody's eating anything without you. Why isn't it working? Ow! Okay, that was too much weight. Do this every time I take this fucking thing off my hand, and then I push myself a little bit too much, and then so I fucked myself up worse than I was for the last 3 days. Like, I'm gonna step back for 3 days. Add 3 days to the healing time. Are you ready to come inside? Remember how I said that my cat always comes running whenever I take this cast off my hand? Here she came. Do you want to come back inside, or are you staying outside? What are you doing? Why are you out here barking? Are you coming? Can you stay outside? What are you doing? Come on. If you're gonna come inside then. Come on. What? I can't believe that my fucking YouTube's not playing videos right now. My tablet is acting like it gets zero service. Alright, well, let's just try this, I guess. Restart. Restart. Oh my god, do you guys remember when I used to live stream? I used to have to live stream from like 5 o'clock in the morning till like 8:30 in the morning, and then my internet went out at 9, like 9:11 every morning. Thank you guys for liking the stream. I super appreciate that. Oh yeah, I'm not on TikTok. I don't fucking hide. I gave you yogurt already. All done. Well, it's saying I don't have any internet, dude. It's got 3 fucking bars and it's telling me that I don't have any. Lay down. That's enough. No. You're not going to be in the screaming stuff yelling in my ear. I can't deal with that. Lay down. Thank you. Good boy. I have 1 bar here, 3 bars there, but the internet's not working at all. It's funny because I was jokingly saying to myself, oh, dude, Heather, I hope you downloaded a book because you're probably going to have to listen to a book. Is this even working at all?
You haven't arrived a moment too soon. So, Lena Winchester is a slob. That's her secret. It's going to take me...
I can't listen to a book on here because of copyright. I don't mind these headphones all day. So it was just charging my phone, but it won't charge this?